Some wounds don't bleed anymore. They just sit there, quietly, in the back of the chest, like a stone you've carried so long you've forgotten it was ever a rock. A conversation that went wrong 20 years ago. A choice you'd give anything to undo, a turn not taken, a word left unsaid, or a word spoken in anger that you can never take back. Something that was done to you that you've never fully forgiven. You've carried it for so long, through so many seasons of life, that you almost don't notice it anymore. Almost. Maybe you wake up at 3 a.m. The house is silent, the world is asleep, and the memory is already waiting for you, sitting at the foot of your bed. It's not fresh. It doesn't have the sharp sting of a new wound, but it is heavy. It's the phantom weight of a suitcase you haven't opened in decades, yet you refuse to put down. You don't even know what's inside anymore, but you're afraid of what might happen if you let go of the handle. If you know that feeling, that subtle, persistent ache of what if, or if only, then this video is for you. Welcome to Buddha's path to peace. We are going to sit with this today, not to fix it, not to pretend it didn't happen, but to finally, truly let it rest. I want to say something that people around you probably won't say. Grief is not a problem to be solved, and your past, it is not a mistake to be erased. Often, when we get to this stage of life, society and even our well-meaning friends tell us, just move on, let it go, or it's in the past, stop dwelling. But that language ignores the depth of your experience. It feels dismissive, as if your life's history is something to be swept under the rug. You are not stuck because you are weak. You are holding on to these things because they mattered. That old wound? It's often just love with nowhere to go. A regret about a child who moved away, a parent who was gone, a partner who didn't understand you. It is a testament to the fact that you cared deeply. Think of it this way. You aren't suffering because you failed to get over it. You are suffering because you are still protecting the version of yourself that was hurt. You are acting as the guardian of your own history. And that, in itself, is a noble, though heavy, burden. You have been protecting a younger, more fragile version of yourself for a long time. And today, I want to tell you that it is safe to set that guard down. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a very famous teaching called the second arrow. Imagine you are walking through the forest of your life. Suddenly, an arrow strikes you. This is the first arrow. This is the event itself, the betrayal, the loss, the unfair diagnosis, the harsh word spoken by someone you trusted. These things happen. They are part of the human condition. They are the reality of living a life. They are unavoidable. But then the second arrow comes. The second arrow is the story we tell ourselves about the first. It is the internal commentary. It is the judgment, the guilt, the endless cycle of, why did I do that? Or, why did this happen to me? The first arrow causes pain, physical pain, or the sharp sting of grief. But the second arrow? That is where the suffering lives. That is the emotional weight that pulls you down year after year. Think of a piece of porcelain that breaks. The breaking is the first arrow. It's unfortunate, but it's done. But standing over the pieces, hours later, sobbing and cursing your own clumsiness, calling yourself names, that is the second arrow. That is optional. The past event is a finished chapter in your book of life. The memory of it, however, is a book you keep rewriting, editing, and rereading every single day. When we make peace with the past, we aren't changing the event. We are simply putting down the second arrow. We are choosing to heal, not to hurt ourselves again. There is a story of two monks, an older one and a younger one, who were traveling to a distant monastery. The journey was long, and the sun beat down on them. They eventually came to a wide, rushing river with a strong current. On the bank stood a young woman dressed in fine, delicate silks. She was clearly distressed, pacing back and forth because the water was too deep and she couldn't cross without ruining her clothes. The older monk didn't hesitate. He didn't ask questions. He walked up, bowed to her, picked her up gently, and carried her across the water. He set her down carefully on the other side. He turned, bowed again, and continued on his path, never looking back. The younger monk was shocked. His heart was racing. He fumed in silence for hours, his brow furrowed in anger. He couldn't believe his teacher had broken his vows. He couldn't stop playing the scene over and over in his mind. He shouldn't have touched her, he thought. He betrayed our teachings. How can he be so calm? Finally, as the sun began to set, casting long, orange shadows across the path, the younger monk couldn't hold it in anymore. He burst out, "Master, how could you carry that woman across the river? It is against everything we believe." The older monk looked at him with a calm, soft expression, his eyes full of compassion. He said, "Brother, I set that woman down on the other side of the river hours ago." He paused and finished. "Why are you still carrying her?" The younger monk stood frozen. He realized in that moment that the woman was no longer a burden for the teacher. The woman was only a burden for him because he refused to let the event remain in the past. And that truth, that young monk's realization, it might be the exact thing you are looking for today. We all have our woman at the river. Maybe your woman is a business deal that failed in 1995, or an argument with a sibling that hasn't spoken to you since the funeral, or a regret about how you raised your children when you were too tired, too stressed, and too young to know better. You are carrying her. You are carrying that memory across miles, across years, across decades. You are exhausted, aren't you? Your shoulders are heavy. Your heart is tired. But ask yourself this question not as a lecture, but as a friend sitting beside you. What do you gain by holding onto the weight of that river crossing? Do you think that if you carry it long enough, the river will reverse? Do you think the pain will finally apologize to you if you hold onto it tight enough? It won't. The event is fixed in time. It is a statue in a museum of your life. You can look at it. You can learn from it. You can even mourn it. But you do not need to pick it up and carry it home with you every night. I know what you are thinking. But if I let it go, does it mean I didn't care? Let me give you permission to hear this. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean you didn't love. It means you are finally choosing to love yourself more than the pain. There are 3 things your grief is trying to tell you, and it's time to listen. First, your grief is not a punishment for your past. It is simply the shadow cast by your heart's capacity to feel. You are allowed to stop running from the shadow. Second, you are allowed to be happy, even if the person who hurt you isn't, or even if the past was painful. Your joy does not erase the truth of what happened. It just means you are choosing to survive, to bloom, and to live in the light again. Third, you are allowed to forgive yourself for not knowing then what you know now. You were doing the best you could with the tools you had, and that is enough. Read that again in your mind. You were doing the best you could, and that is enough. Before we finish, I want to give you a small practice. You don't need a journal, or incense, or a quiet room. You just need a moment of stillness. When you feel that old wound surface today, I want you to imagine it as a physical object in front of you. Maybe it's a heavy rock, a cold stone, or a letter written in old, fading ink. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself placing that object down on the ground. Gently, without anger, without resentment. Say these words, either out loud or in your heart. I acknowledge you. You happened. I have learned from you. And now I leave you here because I have a life to live. Take a deep breath. Feel the space where the weight used to be. I am not my past. I am the one who is choosing to be free. That is all. You don't need to do anything else. Just breathe into that freedom. We started this journey talking about that suitcase you've been carrying for so many miles. Maybe it's time to leave it on the riverbank. Not because you don't love the memories, but because you are tired and you have come so very far. The river flows only one way. It never looks back, and so should you. May you find the peace that has been waiting for you all along. Until next time, be kind to yourself. If this conversation brought a little bit of lightness to your chest today, I would be deeply honored if you joined us on this journey by subscribing. Next week, we are talking about inner peace in a noisy world. It's a deeper look into those moments when life feels like it's just moving too fast and you need a quiet, steady anchor. If you want to explore more about finding stillness in your daily life, I've gathered a playlist here that might help you on your path. Thank you for being here with me.